You expect me to believe that came out of your mouth by accident? The alien interrogator, a thin, pale yellow insectoid creature named Kolth, clicked its mandibles in irritation. It sat across from the human subject, one Private First Class Jordan Cade, whose face was frozen in the smirk of someone utterly unbothered by an intergalactic tribunal. Jordan shrugged, relaxed in the painfully stiff chair. Hey, Your Honor, if sarcasm is a crime, you're going to have to execute half of Earth. The lie detector, a glowing orb hovering in the center of the room, flashed red. Kolth hissed, confused. Red meant truth, but that didn't make any logical sense. It was designed to detect falsified statements across 9,042 recognized languages and over 6 million tonal variants. And yet, since the interrogation began, it had been consistently broken. The room, deep inside the Galactic Assembly's central complex, was built for efficiency: gray walls, rounded edges, soundproof shielding. Cold, clean, and impersonal. But to Jordan, it was an alien version of a principal's office. And he played the role of defiant student far too well. Kolth turned to one of the observing dignitaries behind the polarized glass. The unit is not malfunctioning. It reads truth. And yet... Yeah, Jordan interrupted, arms crossed casually behind his head. You keep expecting human language to make sense. That's adorable. Again, the orb glowed red. Truth. Kolth leaned in, antennae twitching with restrained fury. You are toying with us, Earthling. This tribunal has the authority to declare your species intellectually deceptive. Do you understand the implications? Jordan leaned forward, lowering his voice like he was telling a secret. Buddy, I barely understand the implications of taxes. Good luck getting humanity to explain sarcasm to a machine. Red. The room fell into a stunned silence. The humans were known for many things: stubbornness, creativity, chaos, but no one had predicted this. The Galactic Lie Detection System was a staple of diplomacy and justice across hundreds of systems. It never failed. Until today. The interrogators had pulled Jordan Cade from a crashed reconnaissance pod recovered on the outer rim of the Arvan Expanse. He hadn't fired a weapon. He hadn't even resisted arrest. But when questioned about his mission, he gave answers so layered in sarcasm that the machine was now being accused of corruption by other alien governments. When asked if he was spying, Jordan responded, "Oh, totally. I was definitely here to steal all your secrets using nothing but my broken comms unit and a granola bar." Red flash, truth. Kolth had assumed it was a glitch. A statistical anomaly. But now, an Earthling, clearly mocking the process, was making a fool of the entire galactic judiciary. This will not continue, Kolth growled. Then maybe stop asking questions you don't want sarcastic answers to? Jordan offered with an innocent look. Or better yet, get a sarcasm translator. Is that a thing? Because if it is, I want one. Truth, confirmed the orb, now almost pulsating from overuse. 3 hours into questioning, the tribunal was no closer to determining Jordan's actual intentions. Worse, every time he spoke, they grew more frustrated. The chair of the inquiry, an elder crystalline being named Telmari, had already called for a special session to reevaluate the integrity of their detection system. Jordan's only concern? That they hadn't offered snacks. Back on Earth, Jordan was known as the class clown of the ES Horizon Corps, often reprimanded for inappropriate levity under pressure. His commanding officer had once noted that Jordan could walk into a firefight and come out with a nickname for every bullet. He had no elite training, no advanced cybernetics, just an attitude that seemed to make every situation absurd. Which, oddly enough, was now the most dangerous weapon in the room. Outside the interrogation chamber, several Galactic Council members had gathered to witness what was quickly becoming a diplomatic debacle. We must quarantine his species until we understand this behavior, one barked. Or perhaps we should learn it, another murmured. This may be a linguistic defense mechanism, a form of cultural encryption. In the chamber, Jordan had taken to whistling. Kolth flared in anger. You were sent here with intent. We demand honesty. You can demand all you want, Jordan replied. But you put me in a room with a giant mood ring and expect me not to mess with it? Red glow. Again. Calls shot up from the table. You are contaminating the device. I think it's just finally learning what humor is, Jordan said. Congrats. Your orb is growing up. Telmari finally spoke through the intercom, voice like chimes in a storm. Human. You are an envoy of your species. Will you answer plainly? Were you on a recon mission for military purposes? Jordan paused. Something shifted in his expression. For a brief moment, he sat up straight, face serious. No, he said softly. The orb turned green false. Everyone froze. Jordan blinked. Well, that's awkward. Guess I was then. Man, this thing's good. Red glow. Telmari's crystalline limbs crackled. You knew what answer it would consider a lie. You predicted its interpretation. Jordan chuckled. I grew up watching courtroom dramas and arguing on the internet. You think this is confusing? You haven't seen Reddit debates. Red glow. The dignitaries behind the glass murmured rapidly. This human was not lying, but playing with the very fabric of truth. Their species had long prided themselves on binary logic, yes or no, truth or lie. But sarcasm? That was an edge case no system had anticipated. Enough. Call snapped. You will now be subjected to Mind Fusion Protocol 9. We will bypass language entirely. Jordan stood. Sounds sexy. Red glow. As Kolth prepared the neural interface, Telmari halted him. No. We cannot allow this process to proceed while compromised. The problem is not the human. It is our understanding of cognition. We assumed that truth was a constant. She turned to face the council behind the glass. Perhaps we were wrong. Inside the chamber, Jordan stretched like he was at the gym. Glad I could help your self-discovery journey. Should I invoice you? Red. A silence fell again, but this time, it was thoughtful. Respectful, even. The Galactic lie detection system had just met its match, not through deception, but through irony, humor, and the strange, flexible way humans treated communication. A council member spoke softly. Perhaps, sarcasm is a higher function of intelligence. A survival strategy. Another added. Or a weapon of perception. A defense against conformity. In that moment, something shifted. The human was no longer seen as a threat, or rather, not only a threat. He was a key. A linguistic anomaly worth studying. A bridge between logic and chaos. Kolth, though still frustrated, had no choice but to acknowledge it. Private Jordan Cade. You are dismissed. Jordan looked around. That's it? No neural scan? No prison cell? No dramatic monologue? Your sarcasm, Telmari said, is punishment enough. Jordan winked. Glad to be of service. He walked out, hands in his pockets, whistling the theme to a sitcom no one else in the galaxy would understand. Behind him, the lie detector orb dimmed. Its readings had shattered expectations. But in its logs, one line was highlighted in bright red, blinking slowly. Truth is not always what is said. Sometimes it's how it's said. And for the first time in its operational history, the machine had marked a statement as unquantifiable. Well, that escalated quickly, Marcus muttered, arms chained above his head to a glowing energy beam that felt like it was massaging his shoulders, violently. The interrogation chamber had changed. The walls no longer emitted soothing colors. The temperature had dropped several degrees, and the observers, those transparent, silent specters, had doubled. The only thing that hadn't changed was the smugness radiating from High Inquisitor Drex. The scan was inconclusive, Drex announced to the council. But we've never had a subject trigger a sarcasm cascade failure in the Varthan mind triangulator before. This anomaly demands deeper extraction. Marcus raised an eyebrow. So, you're saying I'm special? Ah, you guys do care. The triangulator, which resembled a crystalline brain fused with a harp, sparked again. Two of the observers twitched and retreated behind the wall. Drex's tentacles twitched as he adjusted his translator collar. Silence. The next phase is invasive. Your primitive defenses will be irrelevant. Invasive? What are we doing here, Drex? You gonna dig through my childhood traumas? Because let me warn you, I had to eat Brussels sprouts for years. Deploying emotion-based resonance amplifier. A robotic voice intoned. The triangulator hummed. A wave of dissonance flooded the room, warping light and sound around Marcus's head. Memories, real ones, flashed unbidden behind his eyes. His old apartment. His sister laughing at a joke he never remembered telling. His mother's last hug before she shipped out for Luna Base. He bit down hard. That was real. That hurt. But then the room flickered, and suddenly the machine projected his thoughts onto the air. Subject is experiencing conflicting signals, one observer announced. Resistance indicates compartmentalization, but also deliberate emotional masking. Marcus grinned. Yeah. It's called being human. You guys ever try therapy? Your sarcasm masks deeper patterns, Drex growled. But your brain still signals deception when you lie. That's the thing, Drex. I'm not lying. I'm just really good at not meaning what I say. The triangulator screeched, a high-pitched whine that sent several observers scrambling again. This time, the projection that floated above Marcus's head flickered. Instead of pure memories or thoughts, it now displayed a conversation Marcus had never actually had. You just hallucinated a debate between me and my third-grade math teacher, Marcus said. Spoiler, she won. The observers conferred. Something was breaking down, not in Marcus, but in their machine. It wasn't just failing to read him. It was interpreting his sarcasm as nested loops of logic, emotion, and irony, and trying to resolve it all as truth. It couldn't. You are cognitively toxic, Drex hissed. Oh, come on. That's just the nicest thing anyone said to me today. Then something unexpected happened. The door hissed open. A new Varthan entered. Unlike the others, she wore no armor, no insignia. Her skin shimmered with actual color rather than the grayscale hues of the rest. She looked different. And not just physically. There was curiosity in her eyes. I am Sava, she said, bypassing Drex entirely. You are the human? Only on weekends, Marcus said. The triangulator buzzed, then powered down completely. She studied him. That should not have been possible. No being in known space can overload the Varthan Infallible Detector. Guess I'm just built different. Sava approached Drex. Your methods fail. Let me question the human using open induction. Drex looked offended. You'd reduce yourself to dialogic contact? Sava ignored him and pulled a chair, an actual chair, across the floor, placing it in front of Marcus. You're funny. But that doesn't make you immune. The machine didn't lie. You are hiding something. Marcus leaned forward. We all are, lady. That's called a personality. Your sarcasm functions like a neuro-cloaking field, she said, tapping a data pad. It's not deception. It's layered communication. Your meaning is in contradiction. You say the opposite of what you feel to protect what you mean. It's beautiful. Marcus blinked. Okay, that's new. She looked at him again, not with suspicion, but with something like admiration. Your entire species might be like this. That would make your minds unreadable. In any diplomatic exchange, you'd hold the upper hand. If you can lie by telling the truth in reverse, you'd make every truth-sifting technology obsolete. Drex stepped in again. Enough! This is dangerous. He's not just a prisoner. He's a weaponized contradiction. Marcus snorted. I'm a what now? Emotionally adaptive. Ironically volatile. You bend meaning like gravity bends light. The triangulator was never meant for this. And yet you thought you could just mind-read humanity into compliance, Marcus said, tugging his arms slightly. Tell me, how's that working out? Drex turned to the observers. Terminate him. If we cannot extract the truth, we will extract silence. No, Sava snapped. We must learn. Not destroy. Silence! Drex's voice thundered, and 2 guards entered. One held a shock blade, the other raised a neural displacer. Marcus sighed. I really wish I'd had breakfast. But then the walls rippled. A tone reverberated through the chamber. It wasn't VAR then. It wasn't human either. It was Earth military. Secure channel. Cross-signal match confirmed. Initiate ghost circuit protocol. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. What's so funny? Sava asked, her eyes narrowing. I told you, Marcus said, smirking as the restraints unlocked and fell away with a hiss. I'm not the only one you can't read. The triangulator blinked once, then shut down completely. The walls of the chamber pulsed as something invisible crawled over the signal grid. Every screen, every comm, every surveillance feed went dark. Drex turned to the observers. What is this? What are you seeing? Nothing, one said, panicked. The system's been spoofed. Marcus stood, shaking out his arms. You ever heard of quantum sarcasm? Turns out your little machine can't handle recursive irony woven into quantum encryption. The moment I started snarking, I sent a ping. Your interrogation room is now a relay node. Welcome to the party. Impossible! Sava looked at Marcus with a mix of awe and caution. How did you do that? Like I said, Marcus said, walking toward the exit as the guards stumbled in confusion. You tried to measure the truth of a species that lies for fun, jokes in the face of death, and turns trauma into memes. You can't scan us. You can only hope we don't find your password and rewrite your whole system. Sava stepped aside. Drex didn't. You won't make it out of this ship alive. Marcus paused, tilted his head, and grinned. Oh, Drex, sarcasm mode engaged. The walls exploded outward as an Earth vessel materialized in low orbit, phasing out of stealth mode. Its mass disruptor beam sliced through the corridor just behind Drex. From the smoke emerged a figure in powered armor, helmet glowing with a holographic smiley face. Commander Arya Brooks, the newcomer said. Agent Marcus. Need a lift? I thought you'd never ask. Marcus replied. Behind him, the triangulator sparked one final time, and exploded in a shower of blue mist. As the humans retreated into the extraction corridor, Sava stood among the chaos, staring at the flickering remnants of the machine that had never failed, until now. She whispered, How do you fight a species that turns contradiction into strength? The chamber fell into a stunned silence, broken only by the faint static hum of the surveillance drones floating near the ceiling. Rilcor, the High Tribunal Inquisitor, flexed his talons around his command rod, blinking 3 eyes slowly as he stared at the impossible readings. The human sat relaxed in the interrogation chair, barely restrained, feet crossed casually, and with that same irritating smirk playing on his lips. I believe, Lieutenant Marcus Vega said in mock thoughtfulness, this officially makes me the most honest liar in the galaxy. Your words are nonsense, Rilcor hissed, voice low and tense. But the Veritex Matrix claims every answer you've given is true. Statistically impossible, given the content of your responses. Marcus shrugged. I guess the universe just doesn't run on your statistics. The other tribunal members murmured in confusion. Some reached for data slates. Others conferred with technicians frantically rechecking the machine's calibration. The lead Veritex engineer, a sinewy, scale-plated Yelvern named Suthex, pushed away from his console with trembling mandibles. It's not broken, he said with growing dread. There is no malfunction. The human, he believes what he says. Or rather, his emotional and neurological signatures match those of a being telling the truth, even when he clearly lies. Rilcor spun toward Marcus, his tone sharp now. Are you genetically engineered to resist our scans? Marcus raised an eyebrow. No. But I was raised by a Puerto Rican grandmother with a PhD in passive aggression. That sort of training leaves a mark. The statement was met with blank stares. He sighed. You wouldn't get it. The frustration in the room boiled over. The Inquisitor struck the ground with his rod, demanding order. Begin Phase 2. Emotional destabilization. Break the subject's mental patterns. Perhaps then, the Veritex will separate falsehood from fact. Oh, I love Phase 2, Marcus said cheerily. Is that the part where you try to make me cry with existential dread? Because good luck, my last 5 years were a loop of war, bureaucracy, and dating apps. The lights dimmed. The walls retracted slightly, revealing hidden projectors. A wave of sound, a low, pulsing dissonance, rippled through the room. Simultaneously, holograms appeared before Marcus, cycling through images of death, loss, and planetary catastrophes. Artificial wind blew inward, temperature dropped, and gravity flickered to disorient. He tilted his head unfazed. That's adorable. You guys are trying to guilt-trip me into a confession using a drama reel. What's next? A sad violin and a dying puppy. The dissonant pulse grew more intense, directly targeting his inner ear. Still, Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. You do know I'm from Earth, right? We invented horror movies, TikTok challenges, and doom scrolling. I've seen worse. Hell, I've been worse. Do you have any idea how emotionally dead you have to be to read YouTube comments and not lose hope in civilization? The Veritex monitor began to spike erratically. Rilcor leaned toward the engineer. Why is it failing now? Suthex looked utterly defeated. Because he's being sarcastic. The Veritex matrix has no algorithm for sarcasm. It interprets tonal inflection, but this human weaponizes ambiguity. He modulates emotional cues consciously. The machine is effectively being trolled. Then build something better, Rilcor barked. We tried. Suthex snapped, losing composure. We reverse-engineered the system from 14 known civilizations. No species had emotional self-deception as an adaptive defense mechanism. Rilcor turned back toward the human, whose chair was now floating 3 inches above the ground due to the destabilizing gravity field. Marcus pointed at the floor with mock concern. Hey guys? This hover chair thing? Feels like the worst amusement park ride ever. You are mocking justice. I'm mocking your interior design choices. This place is like a prison designed by insecure art students. The tension in the room grew unbearable. Finally, one of the tribunal advisors, an ancient Vorton with twitching antennae, spoke up. We cannot learn the truth from this human. Therefore, he is no longer protected by the Council's legal frameworks. I recommend cognitive deconstruction. Suthex flinched. That's irreversible. Marcus narrowed his eyes. Wait, is that your fancy term for a lobotomy? More precise than that, Rilcor answered grimly. We peel away memory, identity, and thought, leaving only neural patterns we can interpret. Marcus whistled. Wow. You people skipped enhanced interrogation and went straight to Soul Blender. That's bold. You leave us no choice. Correction, Marcus said, voice dropping lower. You had a choice the moment you abducted me, scanned me without consent, and assumed you'd outsmart a species whose entire internet is powered by irony. That's when the lights flickered. A thunderous boom echoed through the tribunal's subterranean levels. The floor trembled. Emergency klaxons wailed in alien frequencies. What was that? Rilcor snapped. Before any response, a new voice cut through the room, broadcast across every audio channel simultaneously. Council of Judiciary and Intelligence, this is Captain Ira Chin of the Terran Diplomatic Vanguard. You are illegally detaining one of our officers. Your facility is now under temporal lockdown. Return Marcus Vega immediately. Every member of the tribunal turned toward the ceiling. One dared to whisper. They found us? Impossible, another gasped. This installation is buried under 12 kilometers of rock, hidden by cloaking technology and located in unmapped space. Marcus smiled wide. Yeah, see the thing about humans? When you mess with one of us, it never ends well. The floor cracked as a ripple of energy surged through it. Shields dropped. Walls shook. The Veritex matrix overloaded and exploded in a plume of sparks. Suddenly, A rectangular spatial fold tore open in the far wall. Through it stepped a woman in an armored Terran Vanguard exosuit, sleek black with violet tracers. Her face was impassive, her movements smooth. Captain Ira Chin. "Marcus," she said without breaking stride. "You good?" "Never better," he grinned. "Though I might need a bathroom and a cheeseburger." Ira nodded and raised her right hand. From her glove, a ripple of quantum energy flowed out and froze time in the room, at least for every species except humans. Tribunal members hung mid-motion, faces twisted in mid-scream or shock. "Temporal stasis field deployed," Ira confirmed. "Extraction window, 73 seconds. "Fancy," Marcus muttered, stepping over a frozen technician as Ira pulled him to the portal. "You guys really went all in. You're the only envoy who could have pulled this off. They underestimated your sarcasm." "They always do," he said, adjusting his jacket. "What now?" "We give the galaxy a message," she said. "You humiliated their most advanced interrogation system. Earth wants that story told loud and clear." He looked back at the frozen Veritex engineer. "You think they'll believe it?" "They don't have to," Ira said. "They'll fear it." The portal shimmered behind them. But Marcus paused. He turned, approached the central console, and leaned into the nearest tribunal member still suspended in time. With a sharp it pulled from his jacket pocket, standard Terran uniform accessory, he scribbled something on the Inquisitor's forehead. "Truth hurts. So does humor." Ira groaned. "Marcus." "What?" "Poetic justice." Then, without another word, they stepped through the portal, vanishing into Terran space, leaving behind a shattered facility, a galaxy in confusion, and a machine still trying to understand what the hell sarcasm even was. The silence in the chamber was dense, heavy, almost reverent. Varnox 17, the tribunal overseer, stared at Daniel Hayes with the cold intensity of a data core crash. The lie detector, an ancient and supposedly infallible relic of the Zentari justice system, was still blinking its confused tricolor signals like a drunk traffic light. Truth. Lie. Error. Repeat. Daniel leaned back, cracking his neck with a groan. "So, we done here? Or do you want me to confess to stealing your planet's moons too?" The holographic court system flickered slightly as if unsure whether to translate that as sarcasm or interstellar terrorism. Meanwhile, the elite tribunal scrambled in hushed tones, their telepathic links buzzing in the shared neural ether. The techs at the perimeter tapped furiously at crystalline consoles, each reading coming back scrambled, nullified, corrupted. How can you not register properly?" sputtered the blue-skinned arbiter known as Calvis. "This device is built on the neuro-absolute alignment principle. It registers micro-tremors of intentional deception at the synaptic level." Daniel gave a lazy thumbs up. "Cool story. Still not registering. Maybe your device just doesn't work on people with deadpan humor and chronic caffeine addiction." That earned a chuckle from Commander Rovak, who had returned to observe the chaos with the thinly veiled amusement of a soldier who knew a grenade when he saw one, and liked what it had done. "Perhaps," Rovak said with a slight grin, "we need to stop asking if he's lying, and start asking if we're asking the right questions." The tribunal, unused to being mocked, or questioned, bristled. Overseer Varnox 17 rose, draped in his solar-stitched robes, and slammed a six-fingered fist into the desk. "This is not a game. This human is undermining the sanctity of our tribunal. His responses introduce variables the system has never accounted for. His tone carries both truth and mockery. Intention appears distorted. His words contain multiple simultaneous implications. One layer appears honest, another entirely sarcastic. And both register." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Oh no, I have layers. Like an onion. Or a really smug cake." More error flashes. Behind him, his Zentari-appointed legal liaison, an earnest young analyst named Mixo, whispered, "Do you try to make it worse?" Daniel didn't even look at him. "Nah. This is just how I cope with aliens trying to decide whether I should be spaced, vaporized, or launched into a time paradox. Varnak 17 hissed in frustration. Enough! This trial is adjourned until this anomaly is resolved. Guards, detain the human. The insector guards moved forward, only for a loud, bass-heavy thud to ripple through the entire tribunal spire. Another. Then a third. All eyes turned to the holoscreen that activated at the chamber's far wall. Floating just above the Zenthari capital city, dominating the stratosphere with a silhouette too angular, too vicious to be decorative, hovered a Terran diplomatic vessel. Except it wasn't just any diplomatic vessel. It was the USS Bastion-class diplomatic frigate, callsign Iron Reason. It was also, unofficially, known across human space as the warship with etiquette problems. The ship's primary weapons array was angled in a respectful upward tilt. But its targeting sensors? They were very much locked on the Zenthari orbital defense batteries. Every single one. Rovak laughed first. Looks like the humans sent a lawyer's +1. Daniel beamed. Right on time. A soft chime echoed through the tribunal. A voice, crisp and professional, rang out over their systems. Zenthari Tribunal, this is Captain Marissa Elwood of the Terran Union frigate Iron Reason. You are currently detaining a civilian of the Terran Accord without formal charges. You have 60 seconds to either release Daniel Hayes or provide sufficient legal cause under Clause 44 of the Galactic Justice Accords. Failure to comply will be interpreted as unlawful imprisonment. Varnax's voice cracked. That ship is sending a diplomatic ultimatum with weapons hot? That's not protocol. Mixo blinked. Actually, sir, it is. Terrans added that clause 2 cycles ago. Polite but heavily armed became an amendment. No one thought they were serious. They are always serious when they're sarcastic. Rovak muttered. 50 seconds, came the calm voice of Captain Elwood. Daniel stood and adjusted the cuffs on his shirt. You know what's wild? I actually was telling the truth earlier. I didn't violate any treaties. I didn't leak your secrets. I didn't even like the bar I was in when you arrested me. You could have asked? But no. You dragged me to your circus of blinking lights because your machine thinks sarcasm is some kind of cosmic weapon. Which, he added, grinning, it kind of is. 40 seconds. Varnak 17 paced in sharp, rigid steps, his circuits flickering in his partially cybernetic skull. Release him. Now. Before this becomes a diplomatic embarrassment and a planetary security incident. The guards hesitated. 30 seconds. Now! Varnax bellowed. Daniel strolled casually toward the exit as the guards parted with reluctant tension. Mixo scurried after him, arms full of data pads, and stammered apologies. Rovak followed, smirking like a predator who'd seen a bigger one stroll into the room. As the tribunal behind them collapsed into frantic argument over what had just happened, Daniel and his entourage entered the elevator that led to the landing bay. You really didn't do anything? Mixo asked breathlessly. I mean, no more than usual. Daniel shrugged. Asked the bartender if Zenthari vodka was meant to taste like engine degreaser. That might have started the spiral. You weren't afraid at all? Mixo's voice was quieter now. Daniel gave him a sideways glance. Of course I was. I just know what panic smells like, and I'd rather everyone else be the one stinking up the room. As they reached the landing bay, the enormous boarding bridge extended toward the hovering human frigate. The hull shimmered with quantum armor and bore the phrase, "Be kind, or else," in proud crimson letters beneath the Terran flag. At the end of the walkway stood Captain Elwood, arms crossed, flanked by 2 power-armored diplomats. Yes, diplomats, with plasma briefcases. Mr. Hayes, she said with a crisp nod. Had fun? Daniel gave a short bow. Your timing was beautiful. Do you always show up like an apocalypse with a sense of decorum? We've learned it helps, Elwood said. Let's get you debriefed. As the boarding door sealed behind them, Daniel turned once more to glance back at the Zenthari city. So polished. So advanced. So hopelessly unprepared for humans who didn't behave the way aliens expected. He smiled. Back on the tribunal floor, Varnox 17 sat alone now, reviewing the footage. Over and over again, he played Daniel's interrogation. The way he spoke. The way he layered meanings. His tone was like quantum probability, truth and lie in the same sentence, coexisting until observed. The lie detector had broken because it was trying to measure something alien to it. Irony. Sarcasm. Humanity. Their weapons are dangerous, he muttered, staring into the replay of Daniel's smirk. But their minds are chaos. He turned off the screen. Outside, the iron reason vanished into fold space, leaving the Zentri to their cold, calculated logic, and a gnawing suspicion that they'd just been outwitted by a species that laughed even in court. H.